Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure, all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure. Trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also on Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. And note that Bookmap Discord is a great community, a lot of active traders there. There's a wide variety of content. Stocks, options, futures, crypto, also in a wide variety of languages. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @DougPless. Here are the key tenets to my approach for trading. This is the basis of my thinking and approach to trading. First of all, I believe options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and certainly in the large cap tech stocks that I follow, as well as equity futures, S&P 500 and NASDAQ. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index. SPY is the ETF version of that index, and ES is a derivative of SPX and SPY. So when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the ETF version of that index, and NQ is a derivative of NDX. So again, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. For example, for the S&P 500, setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Here's my agenda for today, Thursday, February 29th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for today as well as tomorrow. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today, and then I'll take a look at the live market. And Bruce has asked me to show the trading capabilities within Bookmap. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to focus a little bit more on trading going forward. So I hope that that's something you want to see. All right, so let's start with news items, economic data, and events for today. Of course, the big event, big news item was the PCE data. They came out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. and there was quite a bullish reaction to that data. And there are a variety of ways of looking at PCE data, but it basically came in line as expected. So there's month over month, year over year, core and non-core. So anyway, the market liked it. The market participants definitely liked what they saw. And here's the reaction to the PCE data. 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, huge move higher. This is the ES futures and Bookmap, and a huge move higher up to the upper daily expected move for ES. All right, tomorrow there is some data coming out. Friday, 9:45 a.m. and 10 a.m. there's manufacturing PMI data that comes out, and then at 10 a.m. Michigan consumer sentiment. And note that the jobs report that normally comes out on the first Friday of the month, it looks like that is pushed back to next week. So the jobs report will not be tomorrow, but will be next week. All right, so that's the economic data. There's also been a number of Fed speakers today. All right, let's move on to positional analysis now. So again, this is the S&P 500 futures and Bookmap. ES futures. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to step back, look at a larger time frame, and I'm going to go to the underlying index, which is SPX. So this is the one-day chart for SPX, and showing the current rally that began on October 30th, and SPX has rallied up just over 1,000 points in about 4 months. That's shown by this dashed purple line. All right, now let's take a look at a shorter time frame. I'm going to go to a 1-hour chart. So this is the top of the rally up to SPX 5,111. And I'm going to look at the expiration dates for this year. This is the January expiration. SPX broke out above the 4,800 level. That's right here. And then in the February expiration, 216, call dominated expiration, just like the January expiration. And there was a little bit of consolidation after that expiration. That is to be expected on a call dominated expiration. And then NVIDIA reported earnings. Price broke out all the way up above the 5,100 level to 51.11. All right, let me check for questions. And Ahmed asked, hello Ahmed, welcome, glad you're here. Hello Floyd's Garage, Stephen, welcome, glad you're here. Ahmed asked, do you know any web-based service that provides live SPX option chains? I know that most brokers do have web-based platforms, but you do need to have an account at those brokers. I don't know of any. I don't know what specifically what you're looking at. Are you looking for something free or anyway? I'm not sure. Other than I know that Thinkorswim does have a web-based platform that should provide that information. So that's all I know. All right, so this is the SPX 1 hour chart. Now let's take a look at the levels on this chart. So I'm going to zoom in. Oops. Going to zoom in on the last few days. So again, this was a 30-day 1 hour chart. Now we're looking at the last few days. I'm going to focus on the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. That's based on the options market. And those levels, I update those once a week. That's based on the closing on Friday. And those levels remain in place for the week. Then the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. Those are also based on the options market, based on the closing price from yesterday. And note that SPX is trading within both of those ranges. And note the lower and upper daily expected move. The expected move for today was much larger than yesterday due to the PCE report that was scheduled for today. So the options market, of course, knew about that, and the expected move was about 32.5 points compared to about plus or minus 24 points yesterday, again due to the release of the PCE data today. All right, so I post both of those numbers in Discord every day, sometime the evening before. So I posted these numbers yesterday evening, both the lower and upper daily and weekly expected moves. All right, let's take a look at some Spotgamma levels on this chart, the other lines on this chart. Those are shown by these red lines here. I'm going to focus on the key daily levels. So first of all, here's the put wall and the volatility trigger just above that. Put wall at 5,040 and the volatility trigger just above that at 5,045. So the put wall is a strike with the largest net negative gamma. And that can be expected to act as support. So again, it's the strike with the largest net negative gamma can be expected to act as support. And just above that at 5,045, that's the volatility trigger. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. On the other hand, above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And note that SPX is trading above its volatility trigger today, and that level did move lower from yesterday. So the last couple of days it has moved down from 570 to 565, now to 545. And the put wall moved up substantially from 4,500 yesterday to 5,040 today. And then finally, the 5,100 level, that's the call wall. That's a strike with the largest net positive gamma. That can be expected to act as resistance. And that's also the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that level moved up. The absolute gamma strike moved up to 5,100. Put wall also moved higher. So I think the risk off level is really the more of the 5,000 level rather than 5,040. We'll take a look at the absolute gamma strikes in just a minute. All right, so the call wall up at 5,100, potential ceiling. That's also the absolute gamma strike. And if price continues to move higher, that is certainly the next target for price up above. All right, let's take a look at one other SPX chart, take a look at a 1-minute chart to see the levels in play for today. And then we'll get back to the ES futures and Bookmap. Alright, so SPX trading at a very narrow range today, and this 5,075 level, that is a combo 2, also a large gamma 4 level. Acting as support, price breach below that, then acting as support again. Alright, so that's the only Spotgamma level for SPX in play for today. Alright, now let's take a look at Bookmap, ES. I have my own cloud notes, so I can show SPX levels and also SPY levels. So this is and also ES levels. So first of all, starting off with SPX, there's the 5100 absolute gamma strike call wall. And then the 5075 level that I mentioned before, that is a combo 2 combining SPX and SPY gamma weighted open interest into one level converted to an equivalent SPX price. There's SPX 5065. Also have SPY levels on this chart. Note this is not a round number, 507.69. That's a combo 1 level, 1 being the most important. That has been an important level, acting as resistance. And here is the 507. This is the SPY 507 absolute gamma strike. So a little bit below the 5100 absolute gamma strike call wall. And note I also have levels for ES. There's the ES upper daily expected move and 5100. All right, for SPY, there were some shifts in levels. Volatility trigger, put wall, and call wall all shifted lower, and the absolute gamma strike, just like SPX, shifted higher. So kind of a mixed picture for the shifts in levels for the S&P 500. And really hard to develop a thesis today based on the unknown reaction before 8:30 a.m. to the PCE data. All right, let's move on to NASDAQ. All right, NASDAQ, I want to take a look at the underlying index charts. Start with QQQ. Here's the reaction to the 8:30 a.m. Data. Note, volatility trigger, 0 gamma level at 434. Price shot up all the way to the 439 level. The call wall remains at 440 for QQQ. Support at this 435 level. After that move down, we'll take a look and see what that level is in just a minute. It's not labeled here in Thinkorswim. All right, so those are the levels in play for QQQ. We'll take a quick look at NDX. And there's this 18,035 level just above. We'll see that on the NQ chart as well. All right, so just like ES, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show NDX levels. There's that 18,035 level. That's a combo 3 level. And here's the QQQ 435 level acting as support. That's the absolute gamma strike for QQQ. That has been an important support level earlier this week. I did show a post. I posted a setup along at 435 earlier this week for NQQQQ. So that level doing its job, that was noted as support in the Spotgamma Founders Note, doing its job, acting as support for long just before noon, right around 11:30. All right, shifts in levels. For QQQ, the volatility trigger did shift lower, and the absolute gamma strike also shifted lower. So that's slightly bearish for QQQ. And for NDX, the levels were very wonky today. So I'm just going to ignore levels, the key daily levels for NDX. They were substantially lower. They didn't make much sense. So I'm just going to ignore those levels. All right, let's take a look at gamma notional, then we'll wrap up the positional analysis. Gamma notional, market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. This is for the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Russell 2000. Note all these levels did shift lower from yesterday. SPX still positive. So what this means is Spotgamma assumes that traders are short calls for an index, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma, and they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. And this is 250K for SPY, which is basically zero. And then slightly negative for QQQ. Overall, a very neutral picture for gamma notional for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. Let's take a last look. This is the absolute gamma strikes for SPX. Just want to focus on these levels. The orange bars are showing call gamma or positive gamma. Blue bars showing put gamma or negative gamma. So it's pretty obvious most of the gamma is concentrated between 5,000 and 5,100. This is 5,000. So that would really be your risk off level if price broke below 5,000. And then there's the call wall absolute gamma strike at 5,100. All right, let's take a look at some setups now. And give me just a moment. I need to check on something. Okay, I'm back. All right, so the levels that we looked at so far, so everything that we've looked at so far other than Bookmap is based on static data, updated once a day, sometime overnight. Spotgamma takes that data, applies their algorithms to that data, comes up with the levels that we were looking at. So now let's move on to execution, and we're going to move on to real-time data. So what this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity. This is the hero signal, hedging impact real-time options. And this is showing, again, options trades, market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of the SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. The white line is showing price for SPX. Again, a real-time chart. Purple line is showing the hero signal. When the hero signal is falling, this is an indication that traders are taking negative delta positions. They're buying puts and or selling calls. A rising hero signal indicates they are taking positive delta positions. They're buying calls and or selling puts. All right, let's zoom in on this chart. I'm going to focus on excuse me, I'm going to focus on a morning setup. Zoom in on this chart just a bit. So after the big move up in the morning, there was quite a bit of a chop until about 10:05. This hero signal, this is the total hero signal showing calls and puts, again for those four instruments, shifted down. And here's your pullback entry. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. And that was right at ES 5100. All right, let's take a closer look at this chart. I'm going to separate out puts and calls. And if this chart doesn't auto zoom, then I'll get back to it. All right, so just a few minutes after the open, traders started buying puts. That's shown by the falling blue line. And then just after 10, they kind of accelerated that again. All right, so that was what I was afraid of. We can just jump to another chart, jump back, zoom in again. All right, so consolidation up until about 10 a.m. And put buyers step on the gas, starts to move lower. That's right around 10 a.m. And then call sellers, just a few minutes later, they stop buying calls, start selling calls. That's shown by the falling orange line. The orange is for calls, blue is for puts. Again, these are in terms of delta. Falling blue line, traders are buying puts. Falling orange line, traders are selling calls. At this point, both lines are moving in the same direction. And that's a very powerful directional indicator. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go back to ES. Let me adjust this chart just a little bit. All right, so here's the, before we saw that big move up after the 8:30 a.m. consolidation, the big jump up 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, then starting right around 9:30, price moves up, ES moves up to around the upper daily expected move, consolidates, then traders start taking negative delta positions. The volume dots are showing market buy minus sell. Green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. Aggressive sellers start to come in and price moves lower, initially down to the 507 absolute gamma strike call wall, more consolidation, and then price moves lower, finally ending up right at the SPX 5065 level. That was actually noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. And of course, that was noted before the 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time data release. Aggressive buyers start to come in. Price moves higher. I don't know if it might have been a Fed speaker that initiated this move lower, but options traders, they had already started buying puts into that move. And Steven says flag pattern there. Yeah, kind of I guess a big flag pattern. Big consolidation, then price moves lower. And the thing to note here is this SPY level. The SPY 507.69 combo 1 level acting as resistance. And these levels do work. All right, so that's the short setup. And note, during this move down, all three lines that I have on my subchart were moving lower. Light blue line showing iceberg orders. Traders were selling this move down. These are not large numbers, but large traders were selling this with iceberg orders. That's why I like to look at the sum mode here. That's what I'm showing in the subchart net. During this time, large traders were selling that move higher with iceberg orders. They used to hide to the size. Also, cumulative volume delta, that's shown by the dark blue line. They're all overlapping, but that's the dark blue line that changes to magenta. That's cumulative volume delta. And then as price makes the final drop, sell stops fuel that move lower. That's shown by the yellow line. So the big moves lower were both fueled by sell stop orders. All right, so that was the short setup from this morning. Let's go back and take a look at Hero. Go back to the total signal. I'm going to have to jump to something else. And this is the MAG 7 signal. I'll talk more about this in just a minute. Note the sharp reversal right around 1140. This is showing the stocks known as the Magnificent 7. Traders start taking positive delta positions in those stocks. And that actually provided a better signal for a long right around 1140. Let's go back to Bookmap. Again, I talked about all the aggressive buyers coming in, shift from magenta volume dots to green volume dots, big stop run down to the 50-65 level, and then price reverses higher as traders started taking positive delta positions in the MAG 7 stocks. All right, so now it looks like ES is breaking above that 507.69 level. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. And Steven says he took a short at that level. All right, this is NASDAQ. Let's take a look. So we'll go back to Hero now and take a look at go to the MAG 7. Going to zoom in. So we're looking for the short right around 10 a.m. and just looking at I should have done this before, separate out puts and calls. Go to NASDAQ, go back to MAG 7, have to zoom in again. All right, so let's just say you were watching this in real time. A lot of price consolidation, just like the S&P 500. And the rising blue line shows that traders were selling puts. Rising orange line, they were buying calls. Both those lines shift lower, just around 10:05, 10:07. Price moves lower. Let's zoom in. All right, so the same thing with NASDAQ as the S&P 500. Aggressive sellers shown by the magenta volume dots. And there is let's zoom in on that. So we'll pull back to NQ 18,050. Good for a short. First target 437. And price finally makes its way all the way down to 435 before reversing higher as traders started taking positive delta positions in the Mag 7 stocks. All right, let's go back to Hero. So looking at a bigger picture after that initial move down, traders did start selling puts, buying calls again right around 1050. They start buying puts, start selling calls, and that's when price moves all the way down to the 435 level. Again, the orange line and blue line moving in the same direction. And then there's the reversal higher right around 1140, 1145. So options trades in the Mag 7 stocks driving price lower and higher today in the NASDAQ. And right now it looks like put sellers have taken the foot off the gas. Same for call buyers. Price may be consolidating. All right, let's take a look at some stocks, and then we'll get back to the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. First of all, I want to take a look at AMD. Note the rising orange line here. This is really the long of the day for sure. Traders buying calls from the open. Note there was a couple things here. First of all, this flow alert. You can't even see it. It's right at the cash open. Every time I try and point at it, it moves out of the screen. But if you look at the very low corner there was a flow alert indicating significant options activity. Also note 180 is the call wall, key gamma strike. So when traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. As an added kicker, when the calls that are concentrated at the call wall, so again, traders are long calls, market makers short calls. As price moves above that call wall, key gamma strike, those calls go further into money. Negative delta is increasing, and market makers have to continue to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. So that's helping to fuel this move higher. Note the strong correlation between calls and price. Call buyers take the foot off the gas, consolidation, then are right around 1140. That's when the Mag 7 signal shifted higher. Traders start buying calls again, and price moves higher. They are selling puts, but note the notional value 22 million versus calls at 559 million. Call buyers driving price in AMD. All right, let's take a look at another stock I saw this morning. Microsoft. Let's zoom in on this. And actually, let's go to Bookmap first of all. Look at AMD. Let's go to AMD. All right, so here's the move up in the morning as traders were buying calls. Note all the green volume dots. Aggressive buyers, pullbacks, Pullback entries, aggressive buyers. Remember, call buyers took their foot off the gas right around 1140. They started buying calls again. Aggressive buyers come in, price moves higher. There's the 180 call wall, 10 points down below where AMD is trading now. So a very bullish day here in AMD. Great long setup. And this was, to me, a lot easier to read than the ES and NQ today, at least in the morning. Very easy read, low-hanging fruit. Just look for that flow alert and look for the rising orange line. And Quan2K4 asks, can I know how the iceberg coded out? Or I'm not sure I understand all that question. I'm sorry, that is proprietary to Bookmap. Bookmap does take, so first of all, CME provides stops and icebergs data. Those are order types for CME futures. And Rhythmic is the only data provider that provides that data. Bookmap takes that data and they, with the stops and icebergs indicator, they show the on-chart and sub-chart indicators. So Spotgamma, Bookmap, takes that data and they show that information on the on Bookmap. All right, so red head shark, here you go. Here's AMD. Great long, 10 points from the open. All right, let's take a look at a couple of other stocks. Then Stephen wants to take a look at coin. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. So hope that makes sense. Quant2K4, that is a proprietary indicator for Bookmap. All right, let's move on. Here's Microsoft. Let me zoom in on this. So this turned out to be more of a scalp in Microsoft. Zoom in just a little bit more. All right. So let's go take a look at Hero first. Let's go back to Hero for Microsoft. So what I saw in Microsoft was this flow alert. And these flow alerts also appear. You don't have to look at stocks to see these. You can actually look at alerts for your watch list. So this shows flow alerts for all the stocks. And this shows flow alerts for stocks in your watch list, which is these stocks here below. And they apparently they do roll off after a period of time. But I saw this alert in the morning. And what this was showing is this is a large block order of puts. Large institutional order selling puts, and another order, same thing, selling puts. So looking for a long setup. At VWAP up to this 410 level. Note the high liquidity at that level and also the liquidity at the 409 level. Those are resting limit orders in the order book. Above price, those are limit sell orders, and they act as magnets for price. And let's go back to Hero. At 410 is the hedge wall key gamma strike. So let's go back to Hero, zoom out a bit. So after those 2 block orders, no more orders. Put sellers took their foot off the gas. Same for call buyers, and price consolidated right at that. Actually, that's also the put wall. So Microsoft trading below its put wall. No more options fuel, and price starts to move lower. All right, the last one I want to take a look at is Tesla. And Tesla was bearish today. Good for short. Tesla trading above its 200 call wall key gamma strike.
Stop ESH for CME by 11:30.
Falling orange line indicates traders were selling calls, buying puts. Let's go take a look at the Bookmap. Go to Tesla. So great long in AMD. Also a long scalp in Microsoft. And then a short in Tesla. Down to the 200 level, as traders were selling calls and buying puts, and actually all the way down to 199. Pullback entries. All right, let's take a look at some trading now. So first of all, let's go to NQ. And Bruce has asked me to show some trading features in Bookmap. So I'm going to go to, let's take a look at, go to Mag 7. Take a look at this. This is the, I put this link in Discord. This is from Bruce. Put this link in Discord. This is information about the trade control panel in Bookmap. This is in the Bookmap Learning Center, Getting Started Trading and Trade Control Panel Overview. All right, so let's take a quick look at that. So first of all, if you want to trade in Bookmap, you need Global Plus. So you need to subscribe to Global Plus. You also need data, either stocks data if you trade stocks, or rhythmic data if you trade futures. And you also need to connect to a brokerage account. So I'm connected for futures to Tradeovate. All right, so let's open up the control panel. So this is the, go to the Learning Center if you want to know more about the control panel. All right, I am connected to a demo account in Tradeovate. So just to be clear, I am in trading mode. I opened up Bookmap in trading mode, and I took a small trade this morning, counter trend short, just to show this. So this is, just to point out, this is demo, not a live trade, not a recommendation. So I changed over to my demo account this morning to show this. All right, so let's take a look at, instead of zooming in on this, I want to take a look at at what I did this morning. Let me see if I can find this. And this was just simply to show a trade. So let me zoom on it. So this is from this morning. It's easier just to show a screenshot here. And this was simply to illustrate trading in Bookmap. So I opened up the trade control panel. We'll take a look at this closer in just a minute. Just to point out, this is a very nice feature in Bookmap that allows you to trade, if you want to trade micros instead of the full NQ contract, you can do that just by this cross instrument trading here. So that's what I did. NQ is a huge contract, easy to get stopped out. I think a lot of traders do prefer to trade MNQ, the micro, instead of the full contract. So what I do is I will start by selecting one or two contracts, and then when I want to enter a trade, I will double click. So I can separate out. So what I did here was take a short, and just to illustrate, stop run up to NQ 18,000, and I was looking to fade that for a little bit of a move lower. My timing was not perfect. There was a retest of the 18,000. This is point of control right above, and then price moved lower. So I scaled out about the halfway point, maybe just a little higher, and then my primary target was this 437 large gamma 3 level. So that the short entry. And got out for the final just before my profit target, and there was my scale out. And note I was using a bracket here, and then I can once the order is executed, you can move these take profit orders and stop loss order around on the screen however you want. So I use chart trading. All right, so that was just a demo trade from this morning. All right, so we'll see if we can try find a trade now. So here's where that trade was. So, obviously there were much better trades. I just right before I started to go to launch, I wanted to put on a sample trade, so I didn't have time to wait. Much better trades, long entries, as traders were taking positive delta positions in the Mag 7 stocks. Long entry there, pull back to 437. All right, let's zoom in now and see if we can find a setup just to illustrate how this works. All right, so normally when I'm trading, I'm looking at multiple screens at the same time, so it's going to be more difficult for me to trade. The three screens that I normally use for trading, I have Bookmap Discord on one. Normally I have my trading platform. I have Bookmap in the middle, that's what I'm presenting. And then on my other screen on another computer, I have Hero. And I have YouTube on that screen. So I only have one screen where I'm normally looking at Hero, Bookmap, and my trading platform on one screen. So let's just check. First of all, let's see what options traders are doing with Hero. Let's go to Hero for the Mag 7. And let's just go to total signal just to simplify this a little bit. All right, for the S&P 500, the hero signal is shifting lower. Let's go back to Mag 7. All right, so far the overall trend is higher. Let's zoom in on this a little bit. What I'm going to do is place we can watch and see if price gets down to 438. You know, this is in a demo count, just an example. Whoops. Let's just we use 2 contracts here. Again, we're on MNQ. Trading looking at the NQ chart.
Stop filled.
All right, so I can drag one of these orders down. All right, so this is not a recommendation. Probably get stopped out. But I just wanted to, I only have a couple minutes left, wanted to show a trade. My intent was to show a buy stop order above
Stop
buy
fill.
stop, so I got stopped out. All right, so let's see if there's a reaction at 438. So normally I would have waited to test a 438. So let's try long again.
Order filled.
So I double click there. All right, so again, this is not a recommendation. All right, so there was a test of the 438 level. Let's see what options traders are doing. All right, so I have one take profit order 10 points above, and the next at 20 points above. All right, so this is just for illustration purposes, not a trade recommendation. This is in a demo account. All right, so again, for this you need Bookmap Global Plus. You need a connection to a broker's account. And then this is illustrating the use of this trade control panel. So again, I'm utilizing this cross-instrument trading. So for NASDAQ here, I can select NQ, the full contract, or the micro MNQ, which I've done here. I know a lot of traders like to trade micros for the NASDAQ.
Order
Got my
filled.
bracket set. Take profit at 80, stop loss 40, that's ticks. All right, so now I'm going to move my stop loss up. I can just drag it up. All right, so now I have risk out of the trade. And I do that once I take profit at my first scale out. And to get this entry, remember I double clicked. So if with one contract, that was long for 2 contracts. And then for, if I had two selected here, that would have been for 4 contracts. All right, so I may get stopped out again. Price may go back down to the to my break even. Note this line right here. That's showing my break even point. So much better entry here. Patiently waiting for a test of the 438 level. Let's go back and see what options traders are doing. All right, so now the hero signal for Mag 7 is starting to tick higher again. Looks like we're going to be stopped out.
Stop filled.
All right, so at least got 10 points for one contract there. Again, a better entry point after a test of the 438 level. Note that order flow here not really supporting along. Cumulative volume delta continues to move lower. Stops lower. Not much iceberg activity here. All right, so maybe another test of 438. And Stephen, thank you for posting the link to the Learning Center. All right, my time is up. I want to thank everyone for watching. All right, so it looks like now that there was another test of 438. And that might have been the better entry. Let's take a look at Hero. Not a strong confirmation in Hero. All right, my time is up. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you very much for your questions and comments. And I will see you tomorrow. We'll wrap up the week tomorrow. All right, thanks again, everybody. Have a great afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.